All right, so it's been around a year since Joe Rogan opened up the Comedy Mothership, and pretty much all of his friends have performed there so far, except for Brendan Schaub, of course, which is just kind of sad at this point because that's like Brendan's dream, but I think he's probably lost hope. Like he announced he was quitting or taking a break from comedy a couple months ago, and other than him just having low ticket sales and not wanting to travel, I'm sure Joe not letting him perform at the Mothership was probably a big part of that. If Joe all of a sudden gave him a green light to come perform there, he would come out of retirement in a second. But since he announced he's quitting and also admitted last year that he had a talk with Rogan about how he doesn't deserve to be there, it sounds like he's pretty much given up on performing there, but at least he had enough self-awareness to admit it, even though I'm sure it was a really tough thing for him to hear, especially because Rogan was the one that originally told him he is funny and got him into comedy, which is why I think Rogan should actually let him perform there. He's the one that got him into this, and he also has people like Bert Kreischer performing there, which at this point, Bert and Brendan are probably around the same level. And just the idea of Brendan Schaub coming out of retirement to do stand-up at Rogan's comedy club after knowing that Rogan was trying to keep him away from there as long as possible and had a talk with him telling him he didn't deserve to be there. I mean, knowing all that and the whole backstory, I feel like would be funny enough.
It has been a problem, though, because there's, a lot of people want to come. And some of them are just, people are weird, like that want a headline and that they know. Like, that you're not really a headliner. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, why aren't you playing the Mothership, Brendan? I don't deserve to be there. And me and Rogan have had this conversation. I'm not there yet. There's guys like you. I shouldn't be there. I don't want to go there and get backlash. Like, when they invite me to be a headliner, I'll know it's my time.
All right,
I don't want to recreate the Comedy Store for me. I don't want
No. Stand-up's great. Stand-up lets you know. Stand-up lets you know.
Yeah, I think this time I just don't care. That's where I'm at. I gotta be home more. I'm gonna pull back from touring so much, and I just gotta be home, man. I got to.
Yeah, so it sounds like Rogan had to have a second career intervention with Schaub. I mean, the predicament that Rogan got himself into here is hilarious. Telling Brendan to quit fighting and pursue podcasting and stand-up, and now basically telling him he's not good enough to perform at his club, which I'm sure led to Brendan giving up on stand-up. I mean, Rogan has just been crushing this man's dreams. Like when the Mothership first opened, I'm sure Brendan was really excited. Like he talked about on his podcast how he just can't stand listening to people talk about how great it is there because he just gets too jealous.
I was talking to Rogan this morning. I go, I cannot listen to another podcast of you and anyone you've had at the club, the Mothership, and how fun it is.
I know.
It makes me want to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, and even Callen's performed there, and also Eric Griffin, Brendan's co-host on the Golden Hour. So I'm sure when Brendan sees this, it kills him. And also must have been rough when he was on Rogan's podcast last time doing a fight companion, and he was plugging his stand-up shows. And, usually when a comedian's on Joe's podcast, they also perform at the Mothership. But, of course, Brendan, unfortunately, didn't get the call yet.
Good luck with that.
And I'm in Nashville next Thursday. 2 shows, one night only at Zany's in Nashville. Then I'm at the Step Mothership Vulcan Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, so Rogan is probably killing Schaub with this. Like when he first told Brendan he was opening a stand-up club, Brendan was probably so excited and really hyped up. He probably thought it'd be just like the good old days. And also Brendan mentioned that his favorite place to do stand-up is in Texas. Apparently he has a tattoo of Texas because that's the only place he sold out every show.
Fun.
I have a Texas tattoo,
place.
for God's sake.
Why do you do that?
I don't know, dude.
Why do
you have
You
a
don't
dragon?
know?
No, what happened?
Oh, I thought you were making fun of me.
No,
but like
I
a
thought
Texas
there was like a
tattoo.
reason.
It's the only state when I started stand up I've never not sold out Texas. Every single show I do, I sell out in Texas. I love Texas.
That's why you got that tattoo?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so who the hell knows if that's true or if that's the reason or if he even has that tattoo. But if it is true, I'm sure he thought things were finally coming together. His favorite place to do stand-up. He claims he wants to move there, and that's where he sells out every show. So when Rogan opened up his club there, he probably thought maybe he could finally start to turn things around. But a year later, he hasn't performed there at all, and he's pretty much given up on stand-up. And recently, somebody on the Fighter and the Kid subreddit noticed that Brendan unfollowed the Mothership on Instagram. So it looks like he's pretty much given up hope. And like he said in that clip earlier, he probably just cannot take seeing pictures of it and people performing there and people having fun and everything. And, I figured Rogan probably didn't want him to perform there. I think I made a video about it a couple months after his club opened. But I thought at some point he probably would, but now it's a year later and it's still not looking like it. And I think Brendan might have just given up at this point. So Rogan probably just put his foot down, and I don't know if it's ever happening. Like, also the timing of Rogan opening up his club was pretty bad for Brendan, because just the previous year was a rough year for him. You know, I think all the Bobby Lee stuff happened, and the truck walk situation, and him threatening to sue people and actually suing people, and also Gringo Poppy came out, so he's in a lot of controversy, which Joe definitely pays attention to.
Yeah. What'd you rate it? How'd you rate it? On a scale to Brandon Schaub to 10, what'd you rate it?
Look, Brendan's my boy, but he needs a handler. Who is the most hated man on the internet?
His name is Hunter Moore. I don't know.
Brendan Schaub just went like this. Oh. Whew.
And it's funny because for a while people thought that Rogan would try to protect Brendan, or he would get uncomfortable if people would trash him. Like, he would get mad if other comedians were talking shit. But at this point, I don't think he really seems to care, and he finds it funny because it is hilarious. Like, just everything that goes on with Brendan, unintentionally, he is one of the funniest comedians for sure. And that's why I think Joe should let him in. I mean, he should be honored to have the Gringo Poppy perform at his stand-up club. And, I mean, just the spectacle of the whole situation should be enough for the fans. You know, I think that's what Joe is mostly worried about. You know, like fans that are taking vacations and spending a lot of money to go down to Texas to see his stand-up club, and then they could get stuck with Brendan Schaub. I mean, is that much worse than Bert Kreischer, though? So I think Joe should let him in, but let me know what you guys think down in the comments. And then if you want more content from me, make sure you go check out my Patreon account. There's a ton of stuff up there. If you want to hear about the basketball game that almost ruined Matt and Shane's relationship with Louis J. Gomez and Big J, or if you want to hear about Michael Richards, you know, Kramer's infamous meltdown at the Laugh Factory, or just a ton of other stuff. There's over 75 videos. There's a lot to go through. If you enjoy the channel, I highly recommend it. I'll put a link in the description.